The polished surface of the mahogany desk reflected the sterile light of the office, a cold, unwavering glare that seemed to mock the emptiness it illuminated. No scattered papers, no half-empty coffee cups, no hastily scribbled notes hinting at the frenetic energy that once pulsed through this space. Just the smooth, unblemished wood, a monument to a life meticulously built and now, abruptly, dismantled. This was Sarah's desk, or rather what remained of it, a vacant stage where her professional identity had played out for years. The nameplate, once gleaming with pride, had been removed, leaving behind a faint, rectangular ghost, a subtle reminder of what had been. The silence in the office was deafening, broken only by the distant hum of the air conditioning, a mechanical drone that amplified the solitude. Sarah hadn't intended for it to end this way, not after the years of relentless dedication, the countless late nights, the sacrifices made in pursuit of a career she had envisioned as both fulfilling and secure. She had climbed the corporate ladder with unwavering focus, each rung representing a victory, a validation of her ambition and intellect. But life, as it often does, had other plans. The first crack appeared subtly, a hairline fracture in the carefully constructed facade of her professional life. A phone call from her son's school, a fever, a missed deadline. Then another call, a doctor's appointment, a growing concern. The cracks widened, deepened, revealing the underlying vulnerability of her carefully balanced world. Her mother's health, always fragile, began to deteriorate rapidly, demanding a level of care that no amount of delegation could replace. The needs of her family, once a source of strength and inspiration, had become an all-consuming force, pulling her away from the career she had so painstakingly cultivated. The decision, when it came, wasn't a dramatic confrontation, but a slow, agonizing realization. A quiet understanding that the demands of her family were non-negotiable, that her presence was needed more urgently at home than in the boardroom. The resignation letter, typed with trembling fingers, felt like a surrender, a betrayal of her own aspirations. Walking out of the office for the last time, she carried with her not only the weight of her family's needs, but also the crushing sense of loss, of a future irrevocably altered. The initial days were a blur of doctor's appointments, school runs, and sleepless nights spent tending to her mother's needs. The structured routine of her corporate life had been replaced by a chaotic whirlwind of domestic responsibilities, a constant juggling act that left her feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. The silence of the empty desk echoed in her mind, a constant reminder of the professional identity she had left behind. Doubt crept in, whispering insidious questions about her capabilities, her worth, her future. Her friends and former colleagues, initially supportive, gradually drifted away, their lives continuing on a trajectory she could no longer follow. The invitations to networking events and industry conferences ceased, replaced by the mundane realities of grocery shopping and laundry. She felt like an outsider, a ghost in her own life, watching as the world moved on without her. This wasn't just about losing a job. It was about losing a part of herself, a sense of purpose and identity that had defined her for so long. The financial strain was a constant worry, the fear of not being able to provide for her family adding another layer of anxiety. The question that haunted her waking hours was not just how to survive, but how to rebuild, how to find a new path forward when the foundation of her life had shifted so dramatically. The answer, she knew, wouldn't be easy, but somewhere within the depths of her despair, a flicker of defiance began to ignite, a quiet determination to not only survive, but to thrive, to redefine success on her own terms, and to find meaning in the midst of chaos. It was the beginning of a journey into uncharted territory, a journey that would test her resilience, challenge her assumptions, and ultimately transform her in ways she could never have imagined. The empty desk, once a symbol of loss, would become a catalyst for reinvention. The quiet hum of the refrigerator, once a comforting background noise, now seemed to mock her with its steady efficiency, a stark contrast to the disarray of her own life. Sarah found herself increasingly drawn to the local library, a sanctuary of hushed whispers and towering shelves, seeking solace in the stories of others who had faced adversity. It wasn't the escapism she craved, but the validation that she wasn't alone in her struggle. Each biography, each novel, offered a glimpse into the resilience of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could endure. She started volunteering at a nearby community center, assisting with after-school programs for underprivileged children. The vibrant energy of the children, their unbridled enthusiasm and innocent joy, was a balm to her wounded spirit. She found herself rediscovering a sense of purpose, not in the pursuit of corporate success, but in the simple act of making a difference in the lives of others. It was a subtle shift, a reorientation of her values, a realization that fulfillment could be found in unexpected places. Consider the intricate dance of a seasoned potter shaping clay on a spinning wheel. Initially, the clay is formless, yielding to every touch. Similarly, Sarah felt malleable, shaped by the expectations and demands of her previous life. But as the potter applies skill and intention, the clay begins to take form, transforming into a vessel of beauty and utility. Sarah began to explore avenues for leveraging her existing skills in a new context. Her expertise in project management, honed through years of corporate experience, proved invaluable in organizing community events and streamlining the center's operations. This newfound sense of purpose, however, was often overshadowed by the gnawing anxiety of financial insecurity. The savings dwindled, the bills piled up, and the fear of losing her home became a constant companion. She explored freelance opportunities, dusting off her resume and reaching out to former colleagues. The responses were polite, but often non-committal. The corporate world, it seemed, had moved on without her. Yet, she stumbled upon a local business incubator, a haven for aspiring entrepreneurs. The energy was infectious, a collective of individuals driven by passion and innovation. Building on this, however, she realized that her years in the corporate world had left her with a blind spot. She had been so focused on climbing the ladder that she had neglected to cultivate other skills, other passions. Now, she found herself surrounded by individuals who were not only experts in their respective fields, but also deeply passionate about their work. It was a humbling experience, a recognition that true success wasn't just about financial gain, but about finding something you loved and pursuing it with unwavering dedication. Another crucial layer is the support network she began to cultivate. She joined a local women's networking group, connecting with other women who had faced similar challenges. Sharing her experiences, listening to their stories, provided a sense of solidarity and validation. These women became her mentors, her confidants, her cheerleaders, offering advice, encouragement, and practical support. They helped her to see her value, to recognize her strengths, and to believe in her potential. Sarah realized that her journey wasn't just about rebuilding her career. It was about redefining her life. It was about creating a life that was aligned with her values, her passions, and her purpose. It was about embracing the unknown, taking risks, and stepping outside of her comfort zone. It was a slow, arduous process, filled with setbacks and disappointments. But with each small victory, her confidence grew, her resolve strengthened, and her vision became clearer. The empty desk, once a symbol of loss, was gradually being replaced by a vision of a future filled with purpose, passion, and unwavering resilience. As Sarah delved further into the business incubator's ecosystem, she found herself not only learning new technical skills, but also grappling with the psychological barriers that had subtly hindered her progress. The corporate environment, with its emphasis on quantifiable metrics and hierarchical structures, had inadvertently fostered a risk-averse mindset. Success had been defined by achieving targets and maintaining the status quo, rather than embracing experimentation and challenging conventional wisdom. The other entrepreneurs, however, operated with a different ethos. They viewed failure not as a setback, but as a valuable learning opportunity. Each stumble, each misstep, provided insights that could be used to refine their strategies and improve their products. They were comfortable with ambiguity, willing to iterate rapidly, and unafraid to pivot when necessary. This contrasted sharply with Sarah's ingrained need for control and predictability. She realized that to truly thrive in this new environment, she would need to unlearn some of her old habits and cultivate a more flexible, adaptable mindset. Consider, for instance, the art of bonsai cultivation. The gardener meticulously prunes and shapes the tree, guiding its growth along a predetermined path. But the tree itself possesses an inherent resilience, a natural inclination to reach for the light and adapt to its environment. Sarah had been like a meticulously pruned bonsai, shaped by the expectations of the corporate world. Now, she needed to embrace her own inherent resilience and allow herself to grow in unexpected directions. The business incubator provided a safe space for her to experiment and make mistakes. She participated in workshops on design thinking, lean startup methodologies, and agile development. She learned how to conduct customer interviews, create minimum viable products, and iterate based on feedback. Slowly but surely, she began to shed her fear of failure and embrace the iterative process. Her initial idea was to create a platform connecting busy families with vetted local service providers, drawing upon her own frustrations with juggling work and family responsibilities. However, after conducting numerous customer interviews, she discovered that the real need wasn't just for convenience, but for connection. Parents were craving opportunities to connect with other families, to share experiences, and to build a sense of community. This realization led her to pivot her focus, transforming her platform from a simple directory of service providers to a vibrant online community where families could connect, share resources, and support one another. This new direction resonated deeply with her own values and experiences, and she found herself pouring her heart and soul into building something truly meaningful. Yet, she had to consider the challenges of scaling her idea. Furthermore, she also started engaging in online forums and communities, seeking advice and feedback from other entrepreneurs. She discovered a wealth of resources and a supportive network of individuals who were willing to share their knowledge and expertise. She learned about the importance of building a strong brand, crafting a compelling narrative, and leveraging social media to reach her target audience. She studied successful entrepreneurs, dissecting their strategies and identifying the common threads that ran through their journeys. Each mentor, each book, each podcast contributed to her growing understanding of what it took to build a thriving business. As Sarah's online community started gaining traction, she encountered a new challenge: navigating the treacherous waters of online negativity. The internet, while a powerful tool for connection, also provided a platform for anonymous criticism and harmful rhetoric. She quickly learned that not everyone would appreciate her efforts, and that some individuals would actively seek to undermine her work. This wasn't just about dealing with occasional trolls. It was about safeguarding the positive atmosphere she had so carefully cultivated, protecting the vulnerable members of her community from harm, and preventing negativity from derailing her mission. In thinking about the best approach, she recalled a visit to a historical rose garden. Each rose, a testament to careful cultivation, stood protected by thorns, a natural defense against unwanted intrusion. Sarah realized that she needed to establish similar boundaries for her online community, implementing clear guidelines for acceptable behavior, developing strategies for identifying and addressing negativity, and creating a culture of respect and empathy. Correspondingly, she sought advice from an attorney specializing in online defamation and community moderation. She learned about the legal ramifications of allowing harmful content to proliferate on her platform, the importance of having a clear terms of service agreement, and the best practices for responding to complaints of harassment and abuse. This was not merely a matter of protecting her business. It was about creating a safe and inclusive space for her community members. Now, consider how this applies when you face unexpected setbacks. The initial excitement of launching her platform was tempered by the technical glitches, the marketing challenges, and the inevitable competition. There were days when she questioned whether she was truly cut out for this entrepreneurial journey. When the doubts crept back in and threatened to overwhelm her, she had to learn to manage her expectations, to celebrate small victories, and to persevere through the inevitable setbacks. To illustrate, recall the intricate process of constructing a stained glass window. Each piece of glass, individually cut and colored, must be carefully fitted into place, requiring patience, precision, and a willingness to adapt to unforeseen challenges. Sarah approached her business with the same meticulous attention to detail, recognizing that building a successful platform required a similar level of dedication and resilience. Concurrently, she understood the importance of self-care. The demands of running a business, combined with the responsibilities of caring for her family, took a significant toll on her mental and physical health. She made a conscious effort to prioritize her well-being, setting aside time for exercise, meditation, and spending time with loved ones. She realized that she couldn't pour from an empty cup, and that taking care of herself was essential to sustaining her efforts in the long run. Another pivotal facet of her journey involved learning to delegate effectively. Initially, she tried to do everything herself, believing that she was the only one who could truly understand and execute her vision. However, she quickly realized that this approach was unsustainable, and that she needed to build a team of talented individuals who could help her scale her business. She learned to identify her strengths and weaknesses, to delegate tasks accordingly, and to trust others to take ownership of their responsibilities. With her online community thriving, Sarah faced the pivotal juncture of scaling her operation while preserving the intimate, trustworthy atmosphere that had become its hallmark. The temptation to rapidly expand, chasing revenue targets and market share, was undeniable. However, she recognized that unchecked growth could erode the very qualities that made her platform unique: the genuine connections, the personalized support, and the unwavering commitment to creating a safe and empowering space for families. In pondering this dilemma, she recalled a visit to a small-batch artisanal bakery. Unlike the sprawling, mass-produced bread factories, this bakery focused on quality over quantity, using locally sourced ingredients and time-honored techniques to create a truly exceptional product. The aroma of freshly baked bread, the warmth of the hearth, and the genuine care of the bakers created an experience that was both comforting and authentic. Sarah resolved to adopt a similar approach, prioritizing sustainable growth over rapid expansion, and ensuring that every new member felt welcomed and valued. Consequently, she implemented a tiered membership system, offering different levels of access and support based on individual needs and contributions. This allowed her to cater to a wider range of families while maintaining a core group of actively engaged members who were deeply invested in the community's success. Additionally, she created a mentorship program, pairing experienced members with newcomers, fostering a sense of belonging and providing personalized guidance. Consider, too, how this connects to her own evolving sense of leadership. Initially, Sarah had approached her business with a top-down mentality, accustomed to the hierarchical structures of the corporate world. However, she soon realized that building a thriving community required a different approach, one that emphasized collaboration, empowerment, and shared responsibility. She transitioned from being a director to a facilitator, creating opportunities for members to take ownership of the platform and contribute their unique skills and perspectives. Correspondingly, she established a community advisory board, comprised of diverse members who represented the platform's various demographics. This board served as a sounding board for new initiatives, providing valuable feedback and ensuring that the platform remained responsive to the evolving needs of its members. It also fostered a sense of transparency and accountability, demonstrating Sarah's commitment to building a community that was truly democratic and inclusive. The need to stay fresh and relevant in the digital sphere added another dimension. The internet landscape was constantly evolving, with new platforms, technologies, and trends emerging at a dizzying pace. Sarah understood that she couldn't afford to become complacent, that she needed to continually innovate and adapt to stay ahead of the curve. She invested in ongoing training for herself and her team, attending industry conferences, and staying abreast of the latest developments in social media, online marketing, and community management. To illustrate, picture how a seasoned jazz musician approaches improvisation. They possess a deep understanding of musical theory and technique, but they also have the ability to spontaneously create new melodies and harmonies, responding to the energy of the moment and the contributions of their fellow musicians. Sarah approached her business with a similar sense of creative improvisation, constantly experimenting with new ideas, adapting to changing circumstances, and collaborating with her team to create something truly unique. As Sarah's stature within the entrepreneurial sector grew, she confronted the double-edged sword of public recognition. While accolades and media attention opened doors to new partnerships and opportunities, they also ushered in heightened scrutiny and the pressure to maintain a flawless image. The very authenticity that had resonated so deeply with her community now felt like a vulnerable point, exposed to the judgment of a wider, less empathetic audience. To grasp the essence of this balancing act, picture a seasoned tightrope walker. Each step demands meticulous precision and unwavering focus. A momentary lapse in concentration, a sudden gust of wind, can send them plummeting into the abyss. Similarly, Sarah found herself navigating a precarious path, striving to remain true to her values, while simultaneously projecting an image of competence and authority. In parallel, she became increasingly aware of the subtle biases and systemic barriers that women in business often face. The implicit expectations to be both assertive and nurturing, the constant questioning of their competence, the unequal access to funding and resources, these were all realities that she had encountered firsthand and that she now felt compelled to address. With this understanding, she resolved to use her platform to amplify the voices of other women entrepreneurs, sharing their stories, highlighting their achievements, and advocating for policies that would level the playing field. She launched a podcast series featuring interviews with women who had overcome adversity to build successful businesses, providing inspiration and practical advice to aspiring entrepreneurs. In addition, she partnered with several organizations that provided mentorship and training to women from underrepresented backgrounds, helping them to acquire the skills and resources they needed to thrive. But, as her influence expanded, she also encountered resistance from those who felt threatened by her success. Some questioned her motives, accusing her of self-promotion or exploiting the struggles of others for personal gain. Others dismissed her efforts as mere tokenism, arguing that systemic change required more than just individual acts of empowerment. These criticisms, while often unfounded, forced her to confront her own biases and limitations, to examine her intentions with greater clarity, and to strive for a more inclusive and impactful approach. For a deeper comprehension, consider the role of a lighthouse keeper, standing vigilant against the unpredictable forces of nature. Their primary mission is to guide ships safely through treacherous waters, warning them of hidden dangers, and providing a beacon of hope in the darkest of nights. Sarah saw herself in a similar role, using her platform to illuminate the path for other women entrepreneurs, helping them to navigate the challenges and seize the opportunities that lay ahead. In due course, she began to recognize the power of vulnerability as a leadership tool. Rather than trying to project an image of perfection, she started sharing her own struggles and setbacks, admitting her mistakes, and asking for help when she needed it. This not only made her more relatable to her audience, but also created a space for others to share their own vulnerabilities, fostering a deeper sense of trust and connection. She learned that true leadership wasn't about having all the answers, but about creating a culture where everyone felt safe to ask questions, to take risks, and to learn from their experiences. Reflecting on this journey thus far, one recognizes a pattern not unlike the intricate weaving of a tapestry. Initially, disparate threads of experience, ambition, sacrifice, loss, and rediscovery seem to pull in different directions, creating a sense of fragmentation. Yet, as Sarah navigated the complexities of her evolving reality, these threads began to intertwine, forming a richer, more resilient fabric. The initial starkness of the empty desk, once a symbol of professional demise, gradually faded into a backdrop against which a new design began to emerge, one woven with threads of purpose, community, and unwavering self-belief. The challenges she encountered, each a knot in the tapestry's weave, served not to weaken the overall structure, but to strengthen it. The struggles with online negativity, the pressures of public recognition, the systemic biases faced by women in business, these were not merely obstacles to be overcome, but integral components of a more profound understanding. They revealed the importance of establishing boundaries, amplifying marginalized voices, and embracing vulnerability as a source of strength. Like the contrasting colors that bring depth and vibrancy to a work of art, these challenges contributed to the overall beauty and complexity of Sarah's journey. Consider, conceptually, the transformation from a solitary seed to a blossoming tree. The initial seed, representing Sarah's former identity, held the potential for growth, but it remained dormant until nurtured by the elements. The trials and tribulations she faced, the storms, the droughts, the harsh winds, forced her to develop deeper roots, to become more resilient, and to reach for the light with unwavering determination. The fruits of her labor, the thriving online community, the advocacy for women entrepreneurs, were not merely the result of strategic planning and hard work, but the culmination of a profound personal transformation. As we pivot towards the final reflection, it becomes clear that Sarah's story is not simply about rebuilding a career. It is about redefining success on her own terms. It is about creating a life that is aligned with her values, her passions, and her purpose. It is about embracing the unknown, taking risks, and stepping outside of her comfort zone. The lessons she learned, the connections she forged, and the impact she made on the lives of others have transformed her into a force for positive change. Drawing these strands together, we see a narrative that transcends the limitations of a simple comeback story. It speaks to the universal human capacity for resilience, the power of community, and the importance of finding meaning in the midst of chaos. The path forward, while still uncertain, is illuminated by the unwavering light of hope, a beacon guiding us towards a future where success is measured not by material wealth or professional accolades, but by the depth of our connections, the impact of our actions, and the authenticity of our lives. The culmination of this journey promises a profound understanding of what it truly means to thrive, not just survive, in a world that is constantly changing. The echo of Sarah's journey resonates far beyond the digital threads of her online community, beyond the boardrooms and networking events where she now confidently mentors others. It hums in the quiet spaces of countless lives, touched by unexpected shifts, by the daunting prospect of rebuilding when the familiar foundations crumble. Her story is not a blueprint for guaranteed success, but a testament to the enduring strength that resides within us all, waiting to be awakened when life demands a new form. It whispers that losing one's way is not necessarily a dead end, but often the very catalyst needed to discover a path truer to the heart's deepest longings. Perhaps the most profound insight gleaned from Sarah's experience lies in the recognition that true resilience isn't about simply bouncing back to the way things were. It is about embracing the transformative power of change, allowing adversity to reshape us into something stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. It's about understanding that the cracks in our carefully constructed facades are not signs of weakness, but rather pathways through which light can enter, illuminating new possibilities and revealing hidden strengths. It's about finding the courage to let go of what no longer serves us, and to embrace the uncertainty of the future with open arms. The tapestry of Sarah's life, once seemingly unraveling, now stands as a vibrant testament to the interconnectedness of human experience. Each thread, representing a challenge overcome, a lesson learned, a connection forged, contributes to a greater whole, a narrative of resilience, purpose, and unwavering hope. Her story reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles, that there is strength in community, and that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can endure, adapt, and ultimately thrive. Sarah's transformation underscores a compelling truth: that true success is not defined by external achievements, but by internal growth. It's not about climbing a predetermined ladder, but about creating a life that resonates with our deepest values. It's about finding meaning in the everyday moments, in the connections we forge, and in the contributions we make to the world around us. It's about embracing the journey, with all its twists and turns, knowing that each step, no matter how small, brings us closer to becoming the most authentic version of ourselves. As the narrative concludes, the true practice begins now. It's an invitation to examine the foundations of our own lives, to identify the areas where we may be clinging to outdated beliefs or limiting assumptions. It's a call to embrace change with courage and curiosity, to seek out opportunities for growth and connection, and to find our own unique way to weave a tapestry of meaning and purpose. It's a reminder that the potential for transformation resides within each of us, waiting to be awakened by the challenges and opportunities that life presents. The most profound legacy of Sarah's journey is not simply her individual triumph, but the ripple effect of inspiration it creates, empowering others to embark on their own journeys of resilience, purpose, and unwavering hope.